Hello everyone, it's Felix here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about some of these Dunlop rackets. As you've seen in the past week's videos, me and Lucian have been testing the SX series racket from Dunlop, the CX series racket from Dunlop, and the FX series from Dunlop across different disciplines such as consistency and control, power and spin. And so now I'm basically going to be talking about one very special racket of these three, which I've actually decided to switch to. So from my Wilson Ultra, I'm now playing with one of these three rackets. But before we talk about that, next week's video is going to be me versus Lucian with our favorite rackets of these. And we're going to be talking about how they perform in a match situation. So I'll play Lucian. Obviously, there'll be a bit of competition to see who wins, but it'll be mainly about to see how the rackets perform. So I'm pretty interested for that. But now let's talk about the racket that I'm switching to. It is the CX racket. Now the model I play with is the CX 200. Now this is a 16 by 19 string pattern and it is 305 grams. So it's the same weight as my previous racket. However, there are a few things that have changed, and there are obviously a few things that I feel within this racket that are better than my previous racket, and obviously that's the reason I've switched to it. First of all, in terms of the actual statistics and the specs on the racket, it's a 16 by 19 string pattern as compared to the 1820 I previously played with, which is going to allow me to have a bigger sweet spot, hit it harder when it goes into the area of the racket, which is the sweet spot. And it'll give me more spin, so I don't have to essentially try as hard to hit the ball with lots of spin, which I think is a great benefit, especially in a match where you're perhaps a bit nervous and you can't get as much racket head speed. The head size is also 1 inch, it is 98, so this is 98, the previous one was 97, so it gives me a bit more head size, also enlarging the sweet spot, like I said before. But in terms of everything else, in terms of the balance, the weight, it's all the same. But now let me talk about the three main reasons why I wanted to switch, apart from obviously the specifications of the racket. So first of all, for me, it is the control that the racket gives me. This racket, the CX series, is all around control, and for me this racket really just allows me to have that. The box frame at the bottom of this racket, as you can see, it's slightly thinner as opposed to, I'll show you an example here, the SX. And essentially what this allows me to do is hit the ball much more cleanly with a faster racket head speed, as there's less air resistance through this area of the racket. And that'll also allow me to get more control and be more precise to where I hit the ball. I think obviously control is one of the main things in my game. I like coming into the net quite a lot. You need good hands and good control to position the ball where your opponent isn't standing. But also from the baseline, being able to move my opponent into different angles. I think that's also quite important. It also has Sonic Core Infinity by BASF. Essentially what this does is it reduces the shock in the racket head by up to 37%. And what this will essentially allow me to do is to hit the ball obviously much more cleanly, without as much vibration of the racket head. Normally I do play with a shock absorber. If you watch previous videos, Instagram, stuff like that, you'll see that I play with quite a large shock absorber because I just don't like to feel those vibrations. So something like that really, something that reduces the shock will increase, how effectively I play, and obviously how the comfort, how the racket actually feels when I'm striking the ball, which is something very, very, beneficial to my game. In terms of, this isn't the third thing, but I wanted to just say as well, the actual weight of the racket, 305 grams. I would probably look to add some sort of weight to it. I usually, on my old racket, I added some lead tape to make it about 315 grams. So that's kind of my ideal racket weight. And hopefully, once I've tested this racket out a lot in terms of actually being able to play with it for a few months, I'll kind of feel where I need to add that weight, depending on how head heavy I want the swing weight to be. And personally, I like it slightly head light, so I can put some weight on the actual grip area here, the handle. But if you guys want to let me know where you've added lead tape to your rackets, what kind of feeling you like on the ball, you can go follow us on Instagram at tennisbrothers and drop us a DM. I'll reply to every single person that drops us a DM, because I'm really interested to know what you guys like, or how you guys like to play with your rackets. Finally, I think one of the main advantages of this racket is the fact that I can hit the ball with minimal effort but achieve a very high speed on the ball. Essentially what that means is I can push my opponent behind the baseline a lot of the time without actually having to force my shot, which obviously leads to me making less mistakes. One of the main things as well is a large sweet spot, as I mentioned. Another factor leading to a larger sweet spot is the power grid strength tech in the strings. Essentially this creates a 30% larger sweet spot in the actual head of the racket, which naturally means that there's more room for error when I'm hitting the ball. And so if I'm not perhaps in the perfect position, I'll be able to hit the ball just as cleanly as if I hit it bang in the center of the strings. So those are the three main reasons why I've decided to switch to the CX200 racket from Dunlop. As I said, we will play a match between me and Lucian with his favorite racket of these three, and we will obviously see who wins. So if you want to not miss that video, make sure to subscribe and turn the bell notifications on to be notified as soon as that video comes out. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it a bit informative, and I'll see you guys in the next video.